go through the actual training program for today, and what I want you to do is I want you to be able to tell me when we go through each exercise what muscles we're using, and I want you to use anatomical terms, and I also want you to explain the anatomical movement or the physiology. I've literally just pulled this off the gym floor, so it's not one I've made up, so this is something you're actually going to see in real life. Yeah, so let's start using real stuff. So every time I want you to bring me real things. If I tell you to do a project, get me this, get me that, do this, do that, I want you to grab real stuff. Okay, that way we can play around with it, we can see what's happening, we can get used to the real world. Alright, so this is literally pulled off the gym floor, just pulled it off the gym floor now. It's a CrossFit workout that they've just done, but it doesn't even have to be CrossFit actually. You could call it anything really, circuit, high intensity interval training, just, you know, someone's standard program, anything like that. Okay, but for me it's very important to always, you know, use real life. What are people doing? What are the exercises people are doing? What is, you know, what are the trends now? What can we see in the gym floor? We need to be familiar with these things, yeah? There's no point me teaching you something and you go on the gym floor and you don't understand the programming. You've never seen it before, it looks unfamiliar for you. I'd rather do something that's familiar or you're gonna have to get familiar with. Anyway, so what I want to do is first look at the warm-up. So on the warm-up you see they've got 3-minute row, 3-minute bike. So let's quickly talk about the row. I don't want you to overthink it. Let's just quickly think. Simply, row, obviously, it's a pulling exercise. What kind of muscles are we using in a row? So who can tell me, throw some muscles, throw some names? Yeah, rhomboids. Yeah. What else? Deltoids. Excellent. What's another one we're using in the row? So one that is superficial to the rhomboid muscle. Excellent. Trapezius. So obviously the rhomboids is deep to the trapezius. That means usually when I'm using the rhomboids, I'm obviously using my trapezius too, because it's deep. It's behind it. So I'm obviously using the trapezius. Excellent. Alright, so I'm warming up. As you can see, I'm warming up a lot of the posterior chain, which is very important, yeah? Posterior chain is where the big muscles are. Good. Alright, bye. Yeah, lower body. Good. I mean, this one's quite simple. You just gotta, yeah, pretty much name the leg, you've gotta just pretty much name the leg muscles. Rectus femoris. Good, using those anatomical terms. Excellent. I don't want everyday language. I know you know the everyday language. I want you to start using the anatomical language. Biceps femoris. Excellent. I mean, really, we could just pull out the anatomy chart and just start naming the leg muscles. But excellent. All right, so we've pretty much warmed up the posterior chain, and now we've warmed up our lower body. We've warmed up the delts as well, so there's a bit of anterior there as well. Alright, I just want you to tell me something about the row, the physiology. Remember, when we're performing a row or even a lat pull down, what is the physiology that's actually happening? The scapula. It's the elevation, well, in a lat pull down, the elevation and the depression of the scapula. In a row, it's the protraction and retraction of the scapula that allows me to have that pulling motion and rolling in the rower. Okay, so I want you to know that, because you need to be able to tell people to squeeze their shoulder blades together. Okay, you can coach this and instruct this by using those kind of cues. Alright. Also, we want the deltoids and the shoulder blades to externally rotate. Because remember, they can medially rotate and externally rotate. We want to get into a position where we can externally rotate and then row. Alright, now we've got 3 rounds. 10 empty barbell strict press, 10 good morning, and then a crossover symmetry with DB. Alright, you know, it's okay if you don't understand what this is. It is pretty much specific. DB, dumbbell, we don't need to look at this exercise. I just want you to go on to the 10 empty barbell strict press and 10 good mornings. So strict press, excellent, deltoids. Pretty much anterior to the posterior and medial, or the lateral part of my deltoid. Which makes sense because we've just spent time warming it up. So far it's looking like a pretty solid program, it's making sense. 10 good mornings. We're still on the posterior chain, yeah? So we're going to lower back, which is what muscle? Quadratus lumborum. You could even say it's the erector spinae muscles as well. All right, tick, tick. Oh, we've got some strength. Just looking at this strength, this is the first time I see this program too. I just want to. All right, we've got pull-ups, shoulder press, inverted row, GHD sit-up. All right, let's just start the other name. Pull-up, latissimus dorsi, shoulder press, deltoid, inverted row, rhomboids, trapezius, sit-ups, rectus femoris. All right, so as you can see, all this warm-up and all these rounds have so far led me to a program where I'm really trying to work on those delts and that posterior chain. All right, and now just by looking at it, you can understand that this is, it's someone trying to build their posterior chain. Okay, it's a strength program for someone trying to build their posterior chain. You would know that now. Before you knew about anatomy and physiology, you probably just thought, oh, it's back day. Well, it's not really just back day. We're strengthening up the posterior chain as a whole, okay? And we know how to physiologically execute these exercises because we know the physiology. All right, again, the program finishes with some lat pull down and bent over row. So again, we're still with posterior chain. Any questions about this? It's a pretty standard program. We've got warm up, we got the strength component, and sort of like a cool down. All right, what could you add as a cool down to this program? All right, so we've just spent all this time doing our back muscles. What can we think of that is just going to cool down? Yeah, you could foam roll, excellent. Yeah, stretch the back. Yeah, you can walk on a treadmill, that's fine. You can do a lot of things. There's no right or wrong as long as you have a rationale behind it. I don't want you to ever go into a gym or be one of those trainers that has all these preconceived ideas or anything like that. If you have a rationale behind something and it anatomically and physiologically makes sense, then there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, as long as it's not, I mean, there is a wrong in the sense that, what's your cool down? Oh, my cool down is sled sprints. Okay, well obviously that's wrong because there's no, what's the rationale behind that? It's not really going to make sense, is it? No, so if you have a rationale that makes anatomically and physiological sense, then that's okay. Okay, everyone's going to have a different program, everyone's going to have a different warm-up, everyone's going to have a different cool down. Okay, it's whatever suits you and your client. That's the most important part. What we're going to do now is, we are going, not to go through this program, I want you to write a similar program for me. The client, as we can see, we can just tell by this program that the client wants to strengthen their posterior chain. Or the group of people, whoever this was written for, it's all about the posterior chain. So knowing about the anatomy, knowing about the physiology, knowing about the scapula, knowing about movements, knowing about exercises, fitness programming, I want you to put it all together and write this client, something similar, but don't you obviously use the same, exactly the same exercises, a workout for the posterior chain. I want you to get used to that, okay, because the posterior chain is very important. Big muscles back there, and we can reduce a lot of injury by strengthening our posterior chain. It's very important. Constantly working on that posterior chain, yeah? All right, and then we're just gonna have a quick look over it, and then we'll pick one to actually do today, okay, for our prac, because it's important you can feel what you've programmed. Sometimes you program something, then you go through and you're like, actually that's too long, or actually that's too many reps, or something like that. So we'll go through your program and you'll see